Nephilim Agenda, Part 2. All right, so I just read the story out of Jasher. So now we know the reason Esau sold his birthright for red lentils is because he just killed Nimrod and 2 of his men. So now he's on the run for his life from the rest of Nimrod's men. For this reason, the Nephilim running planet Earth right now removed most of any knowledge on them. Like all of, the book of Enoch, Jasher, Jubilees, Maccabees, Tobit, and so on. For this reason, I do these videos. For those interested in what the bioloopers will not tell you, right? They work for Satan's seed line. Now that I read how Satan's kingdom seed line, which is Nimrod and Esau, that God hates, you can reread that in Malachi 1, 2-3. Can I just pause here and say there are 2 of the most famous men, their names on planet Earth right now, that are fighting. 2 of this political allies, we've seen standing in the Oval Office for a couple months now, are at war with each other. That's Satan's kingdom divided. Satan's kingdom's always divided. They're not united. They're strategic, they're complex, they're orderly, but they are always divided against each other. That is a Nephilim narrative. When you see 2 allies that all of a sudden are at war, that's a Nephilim narrative. There's a reason for that. All right, so 2 of the most famous people that we have in America right now are at war with each other. 2 Nephilim spirits always at war. They're not friends. All right, they're an even fallen kingdom, an even fallen spirit, and they always war against each other. Their narrative never changes. You think they like each other. Nimrod and Esau were watching each other in these fields for a while. Jealousy was setting in. It took some time for them to turn on each other, but they do turn. Period. The narrative never changes. They're not creative, guys. I have read every single war and every military campaign going back to the earliest days of Egypt. All right, this narrative never changes. I've read at least 50 books on the military campaigns and all the strategies from the most ancient days of Egypt, Sumeria, and on and on. It always starts like this, always. So it's not a stretch to figure out one of their next calling cards. Now we know that red is an important part of their process. The next thing to know is that Nimrod and Esau are both hunters. What is the symbol for a mighty hunter? It's literally a target, a circle with a dot in the center, just like the chain store or the Vatican hierarchy wearing their red shoes or red hats. Why do you think we had the term for enslavement or being in debt called in the red? Why do you think the sex industry is called the red light district? I could go on and on with 10 more examples, but you're seeing my point. I don't need to go on and on. The Bible explains the personalities of the Nephilim, or the host bodies of the Nephilim. You got to stop thinking in terms of giants. Will giants appear one day? Yes, of course they will. But right now, the spirits of the Nephilim occupy every pastor, every school teacher, every professor, every leader, whatever your leadership is of your country, your state, your government. All right, those are Nephilim spirits hiding in plain sight. Period. What are their personalities? What are we looking for? All right, well, that's summed up nicely in many Bible verses, but I'm going to read Mark. I can only pick a few, as you know. Mark, I'm going to read chapter 7, 21-23. For from within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts. Can I just repeat that so you're getting the point here? From within, out of the heart of men. Okay, that's the Nephilim spirit. Really try to sit with that. It is the Nephilim, Raphaim spirit out of normal looking people. What happens? Proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, an evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within and defile the man. Let's go to Jesus' brother, James, the just. James 3:14-16. But if ye have bitter envy in and strife in your hearts, glory not and lie not against the truth. The wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. It's exactly what's going on with the two political once allies in the Oval Office right now today, playing out over Satan's media. Social media. So when you see these traits, they are a host body. More than likely, it's a social parasite, right? We call social media. That is a parasite. Today, it's all parasitic, and the world listens to them in the millions. A social parasite is modern mind control. No torture needed. That's old school. That's in my days. Torture was used on me, but no, not now. We got social media for that. So it's actually a psychological term called parasitology that is being released in our atmosphere. Those chemtrails that you think is just full of heavy metals, no, there are parasites in there. Those parasites are designed to attack and control your central nervous system. Your decision-making process becomes hijacked, and your body then functions perfectly as a host body. Yes, the day of the zombie attacks are coming, and yes, they actually do eat brains with no end. Their appetite is not sustainable. They can't sustain their appetite. It's a never-ending brain-eating attack on humans. These parasites not only can control your mind, but worse is they have molecular mimicry that can influence your body at the level of DNA, which changes your social interactions and, more importantly, disrupt your perception of reality, which is the most scary of all. When you can no longer trust what you're looking at, again, eyes to see. Most of the people you see around you in your neighborhood are actually reptilians. Reptilians can control your mind and make you think you're looking at a normal human. That, again, the movie was put out in 1970s called They Live. And you put on these glasses and you're seeing skeleton people all around you. That is real. That is not sci-fi. That's not Hollywood entertainment. It's real. So that's why Jesus is constantly saying to those with eyes to see, if you don't accept that you live in a supernatural world and everything around you is supernatural, you're never going to be able to spiritually fight any of it. All right. It's all in the works, and it will be the new normal sooner than later. As in earlier, I said the feud with the two largest names on the planet, they no longer care about optics. They just turn on a dime. They can't help themselves. They lose control, as in the days of Noah. Another example is a parasite in cat urine and feces. That parasite is called Toxoplasma gondii. Now, it is a known fact that Toxoplasma gondii is laying dormant in around 30 to 40% of the entire world's population. That parasite can be activated, which the Nephilim have the frequency to activate it. They know what this is. It's been done over. If you actually go back, no one's done this study. I read an entire study on all of the plagues. They just summed it up as the Black Death. You should see that Black Death thing went on for over 600 years, starting in 1100. And it switched from the Black Plague after 600 years of being the Black Plague that took out 100 million people. It switched to the bubonic plague in the 1700s, and then to the Spanish flu and so on. They constantly use plagues. They have to continually depopulate humans because we become smart. We understand them. They're constantly with the depopulation agenda because some of us come together and figure this stuff out. And we start telling people we know how to spiritually fight them. That's when they have to kill us off. That's coming around again. Not enough people left with the last plague of 2020. That didn't get enough. So anyway, back to Toxoplasma gondii. It's laying dormant in around 30 to 40% of the world's population. It can be activated with a frequency. Once activated, that parasite feeds on lymph nodes, brain, heart, and lungs, which triggers the I can't say this word, amygdala. Anyways, a fear response in the brain, causing what Hollywood warned you about in the 90s with the movie Fatal Attraction. How do we know this? Well, they did an experiment on mice. Mice have a huge fear response to cat urine. Mice run the opposite direction of a cat, predator and prey. Once they infected the mice with the Toxoplasma gondii, the mice did the opposite. They had a fatal attraction to cats. The mice ran to the cats. They also wanted to become sexually aggressive with the cats. I'm not kidding you. They have actual experience. I read it. I'm gonna bear you the read, but I read way too many pages on this than I would have liked to. But I want to be informed. I want to understand what it is they're doing. My videos are about spiritual warfare, so I have to read everything I can on every topic out there. When you put this in men, this parasite, when you activate it in men, the men become sexually deviant. They begin to crave anal sex, rape, and bondage. So we have that to look forward to. So then they put, I'm not kidding you, I read this whole paper on this. They put this parasite into shrimp, and the adult shrimp began to eat baby shrimp. So we got the sexual deviance, and now we have cannibalism. So the Nephilim tactics, or the custodian tactics, again, they don't change. It's still all as in the days of Noah. The flood did not in no way stop any of their war games on humans today. Their NPC loopers are outnumbering us normies by a long shot. Now, as I was writing this, Holy Spirit told me to stop and to watch a 1988 movie called Sphere. I've never heard of Sphere. I went to Amazon, and for $3.79, I was able to rent it and watched it. And it was predictive programming. It was exactly that. The alien ship crashed into the ocean 300 years ago. They sent a team of people to explore the alien ship and perhaps its occupants, but they were infected with a parasite in which it made all of what they could only see what their fears were. So not only could they only see what their fears were, their fears could not only bite them and kill them, but their fears could bite and kill other people. And that's what happened. So when you can no longer trust what your eyes are seeing, and you're only seeing what you fear the most, talk about a world in chaos. So they are able to control your consciousness and to control what you perceive, what you're looking at. That is, the reptilians have been able to do that forever. So you think you're looking at humans around you, you're not. They're reptilians, they outnumber us big time. That's one of the reasons I don't hardly ever leave the house. I prefer not to look at them. I've had a lifetime of looking at them. I'm over it. I'm done with their ugliness. But again, their predictive programming is a spiritual law that they must reveal all of their tactics. I'm not telling you to go rent the movie Sphere on Amazon. I just summarized it for you. You can not watch that terrible movie. But everything, if you want to know their tactics, read every fictional book, watch every movie, look at every music video, listen to the lyrics, it's all there. It's all in plain sight. All of the actors, all of the entertainment, all of the authors, all of the music, everything that we call artists, archaeology, all of it is done by the Nephilim. It's their world. And it goes all the way back to the Sumerian timeline. Now, again, Charles Fort. He started writing his books in 1867 to 1923. He had a small inheritance, so he was able to travel around Europe, and he kept a vigilant eye out for all things paranormal, supernatural. I've read all of his stuff. It's incredible. He knew that we had, he called them, I call them Nephilim, he called them custodians. We have custodians over the human race, keeping us enslaved on earth. He was the first really to write on what we call UFOs today. He called it moving lights in the sky and mysterious rainfalls of animals. Now, he called the moving lights in the sky super constructions before we, in the 1940s, started calling them UFO. Today, they're called UAP. He wrote first about this in a book in 1919 called The Book of the Damned, in which he talks on the fact that the human race is someone, that the human race is controlled, watched over by someone who is not from here. They are supernatural. They're not from here. They're not like us. However, we humans are their property. He writes that once upon a time, the earth was a no man's land that other explorers from outside this galaxy colonized and fought off others for possession of Earth's resources. And that this race owns the earth, and all others are warned to stay away, and they do. His writings state that the human race does not have a high status in relation to others in the cosmos, and that we humans are no different from livestock, meaning our custodians think of us this way, that we are a slave race on an isolated planet in a small galaxy, of which is their prison planet for their purpose, and that we humans have gone through such spiritual decay that he has rendered earth conditions of constant conflict and physical hardship, which we do read in Genesis 3:17. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of, cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. We are doomed to have oppression on our souls. Side note, before I end part 2, if you were to look at our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, from, say, our neighbor galaxy, Andromeda, you would see that Earth is near the edge of the Milky Way galaxy. It is a dwarfed galaxy by much larger galaxies, and due to this isolation, we have very few visitors. In other words, Earth is in the boondocks of a minor galaxy. Potter out.